Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktar Bhavati Nashtaki Kṛṣṇaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Jai Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
In Vedas, it is said that those who execute a regulative life of tapasya are brahmanas. Etat aksharam gargi viditvam vasmal lokat praiti sa brahmanah. Etat aksharam gargi avidit vasmal lokat praiti sa kripanah. Everyone is dying, for no one can live here permanently. But one who dies after executing a life of tapasya is a Brahman, and one who dies like a cat or dog without executing tapasya is called as Kripana. These two words are used frequently in Vedic literature, Brahman and Kripan. Kripan means miser, and Brahman refers to a liberal, broad-minded person. Brahma janatiti brahmana. One who knows the supreme, the absolute truth, is a Brahmana, but one who does not know is an animal. This is the difference between animal and man. Man, to deserve the name, must be educated to understand the absolute truth. But because human life is meant for knowledge, there are schools and colleges, philosophers and scientists and mathematicians. The processes of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending need not to be taught, for they are learned instinctively. Human life is obviously meant for more. It is meant for tapasya and knowledge.
There are descriptions in the Vedas of brahmacharya, celibacy, which characterize the beginning of a life dedicated to tapasya, smaranam, kirtanam, keli, prekshanam, guhya bhashanam, sankalpo dhyavasayascha, kriya nirvritta eva cha. To properly execute celibacy, one should not even think or even talk of sex life. Reading modern literature and newspapers which are filled with sexual material is also against principle of brahmacharya. Similarly, indulging in sex in any way, looking at and whispering with girls, and determining or endeavoring to engage in sex life are all against the principles of brahmacharya. One executes real brahmacharya when all these activities come to a halt.
By austerity, celibacy, and control of the mind and senses, one can advance in pure life. Similarly, advancement can be made through charity properly directed. And that is called tyaga, renunciation. If one has $1 million, he should not keep it. But as long as it is within his jurisdiction, he should spend it for Krishna. Money or energy is properly utilized when it is directed to Krishna. As soon as one quits his body, all his monetary resources and everything else he has collected in connection with his body is finished. For the spirit soul transmigrates to another body, and one does not know where the money which he earned in his previous body is being kept or how it is being spent. A person may leave the world declaring how the money should be spent by his sons or heirs, but even if one leaves millions of dollars in his life, in his next life, he has no claim to it. Therefore, as long as when it is in when it as long as it is in one's hand, it is better to spend it for a good purpose. If one spends it for bad purposes, he becomes entangled. But if he spends it for good purposes, he gets good return. This is very clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita explains that there are three kinds of charity. Charity in the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. A person in the mode of goodness knows where charity should be given. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Samoham sarva bhuteshu na me त्वेष्यस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तो मां भक्त्या मयि तेषु चाप्यहम्. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. Krishna is not in want of money, for he is the original proprietor of everything. Ishavasya idam sarvam. But still he asks us for charity. For example, Krishna in the guise of Vamana, dwarf Brahmana, went to beg from Bali Maharaj. Even though he is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, the proprietor of all the planets, he nonetheless says, please give in charity to me. Why? It is for our interest, for the sooner we return Krishna's money to Krishna, the better situated we will be. Of course, this may not be very pleasant to hear, but actually, we are all thieves, for we have stolen God's property. If uh, one who has something is not God conscious, it is to be understood that he has stolen God's property. That is the nature of material life. If this is considered thoughtfully, and if one comes to the real knowledge, he will realize that if we do not understand God, whose property we are using, whatever we possess is stolen property. It is also stated in Bhagavad Gita that if one does not spend his money for yajna or sacrifice, he is understood to be a thief. Yo bhunkte stena eva saha. For instance, if one earns a great deal of money but tries to hide it to avoid paying income tax, the government considers him to be criminal. He cannot say, I have earned this money. Why shall I pay tax to the government? No, he must pay or risk punishment. Similarly, in the higher sense, everything we have is Krishna's or God's, and it must be utilized in accordance with His. We may wish to construct a building, do we where do we get the stone, wood, and earth that the construction requires? We cannot artificially produce the wood, it is God's property. We cannot produce the metal, we must take it from the mine, which is also God's property. The earth and the bricks which are made from it are also God's. We simply give our labor, but that labor is also God's property. We work with our hands, but they are not our hands, but God's. For when the power to use the hand is withdrawn by God, the hand becomes useless.
We should use this great opportunity in human life to understand all these points which are mentioned in the authoritative books of Vedic knowledge like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami declares that real atonement necessitates necessitates thoughtfulness, sobriety, and meditation. One must one must consider whether he is the body or whether he is transcendental to the body, and one must try to know what God is. These ideas are to be studied in Krishna consciousness. We should not be frivolous or waste time. If one wants this knowledge, he has to practice austerity tapasya. And the beginning of tapasya, as already explained, is brahmacharya, celibacy, or restricted sex life. The pivot of material attraction is बस मम्मी हो गया
The pivot of material attraction is sex, not only for human society but for animal society also. Sparrows and pigeons have sex 300 times daily, although they are strict vegetarians, and the lion, which is not a vegetarian, has sex once a year. Spiritual life is not a question of vegetarianism but of understanding higher knowledge. When one comes to the platform of elevated knowledge, he naturally becomes a vegetarian. Pandita Samadarshana, one who is very highly learned, does not distinguish between a learned scholar, Brahmana, an elephant, a dog, or a cow. He is Samadarshi. His vision enables him to see them all equally. How is this? He does not see the body, but the soul, the spiritual spark of Brahma. Continue.
कहाँ से पढ़ना है
He thinks. Where is it all?
हाँ
Beautiful.
he thinks here is a dog but it is also a living entity. Although by his past karma he has become a dog, and this learned scholar is also a living spark, but he has taken good birth because of his past karma. When one comes to that position, he does not see the body, but the spiritual spark, and he does not distinguish between the one living entity and another. Actually, we do not make distinctions between carnivores and vegetarians, for the grass has life, just as the cow or the lamb. A guideline, however, should be Vedic instruction given in Ishopanishad. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yatkincha jagatayam jagat tena taktena bhunjata ma krataha kasya Dhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself which are set aside as his quota, and one must not accept other things knowing well to whom they belong.
Mhm. Since everything is a property of the Supreme Lord, we can only just a minute. We can only enjoy what is allotted to him by the Lord, and one cannot touch another's property. According to Vedic life and according to all Vedic scriptures, a man should live on fruits and vegetables, for his teeth are made in such a way that these can be very easily eaten and digested. Although it is nature's law that one has to live by eating other living entities, Jivo Jivasya Jivanam, one must use discretion. Fruits, flowers, vegetables, grain, rice, grain, and milk are made for human beings. Milk, for example, is an animal product, the blood of an animal transformed. But the cow delivers more milk than is needed by her calf because milk is intended for man. Man should simply take the milk and let the cows live, and thus following nature's law. Man will be happy. Tena tyaktena bhunjitha mantra. Sorry. One should take whatever God allots to him and thus live comfortably.
We have to elevate our consciousness through the signs of Krishna. Charity is within everyone's heart, but we do not know how to make the best use of it. Whatever we spend in terms of energy should be for Krishna, for it all belongs to him. By spending for Krishna, one will not be a loser. Krishna is so kind that when we offer him food, he accepts and yet leaves everything for us to eat. For us to eat. Simply by offering food to Krishna, we can become devotees. We need not spend an extra farthing. In the higher sense, everything belongs to Krishna. But if we offer everything to Krishna, we will be elevated. This is sublime and proven way of advancement in pure life.
Mm. Learning steadiness and Krishna consciousness. When one reaches topmost position of material opulence, the tendency for renunciation is natural. There are two tendencies in the material world, bhoga and tyaga. Without guidance, however, one does not know how to renounce. First of all, one wants to enjoy, and when he is frustrated in enjoyment, he renounces. Again, when he is tired of renunciation, he enjoys, like a clock pendulum, which swings from one side to side. We all thus are vacillating from the platform of enjoyment to the platform of renunciation and back again. Karmis, fruitive workers, try to enjoy this world and reap the fruits of it. Consequently, they are constantly traveling on expressways all day and night to engage in material enjoyment. On the other hand, there are others, predominantly the discontented youth, who don't want any part of this. Thus the word contains those engaged in bhoga and those engaged in tyaga. However, however, we will not be happy by following either of these paths because it is not our proper position to either enjoy or renounce. Since everything belongs to Krishna and nothing belongs to anyone else, whatever we possess is actually Krishna's property. Since Ishavasya Idam Sarvam, since we have not produced the trees, plants, water, or the land, we cannot claim them. Since we actually have nothing, we can renounce nothing. Or, as it is said, naked we come into the world and naked we go out. In the interim, we falsely claim this is my country, this is my house, this is my wife, these are my children, this is my property, this is my bank balance, etc. Such claims are false because when we come into the world, we come in empty handed. And when we go out empty handed. What then is the meaning of bhoga or tyaga? In the light of the actual fact, they have no actual meaning. Bhoga is thievery, and tyaga renunciation is what never belonged to us, is a form of lunacy.
In
Lunacy.
this regard, In this regard, Krishna gives us this direction: Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Although we have created different types of religion based on bhoga and tyaga, we are advised to give up all of them and to surrender unto Krishna. It is not within our power to enjoy or to renounce. When renunciation is recommended in Bhagavad Gita, it refers to renunciation of everything that we falsely claim to possess. A child may take $100 bill from his father and try to keep it, although he may not know how to use it. The father may beg the child, "Dear boy, kindly give it to me." The child does not know that money actually belongs to the father, nor does he know that best hand it to use that he had best hand that he had best handed to his father for he simply does not know how to use it. Similarly, Krishna says, "Renounce your work for me, renounce your wealth and property for me." Krishna is not a beggar, for everything belongs to him. But he thus treats us like small children. Compliance to his request to give everything to him is called tyaga, renunciation, and is one of the means by which one can attain elevation to Krishna consciousness. Austerity, celibacy, equanimity, and charity are all required for realization of the ultimate or absolute truth. Krishna consciousness is not concerned with the relative truth, but with the absolute. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Vyasadeva offers his obeisances to the supreme absolute truth, Satyam Param Dhimahi. He offers his respects not to the relative categorical truths, but to the Sammam Bonam, the absolute truth. It is the duty of the Brahmanas to practice those qualities by which the absolute truth can be realized.
Brahmanas must be qualified. Brahmanas, Brahmanas must be qualified by practicing cleanliness, truthfulness, control of mind and its senses, simplicity, and by cultivating faith in Vedas and particularly in Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna says, "I am the Supreme Lord," we have to accept him with faith, not foolishly but with full knowledge, and practically apply this acceptance in our daily life. A Brahman is not created by birth but by education, practice, and knowledge. It is not the question of birth but quality. As pointed out by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvanyamaya Srishtam Gunakarma Vibhagasha Tasya Kartaram Apima Vidya Kartaram Apyam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me, and although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am the non doer, being unchangeable. One must not only have the qualities of a Brahmana, but one should also work as a Brahmana, for one's qualities are tested by his work. If one is qualified engineer but simply sits down at home and does not work, what is his value? Similarly, unless one works as a Brahmana, there is no value to him to his simply saying, "I am a Brahmana." One must therefore work as a Brahmana by fully engaging in the service of Param Brahma, Krishna, the Supreme Brahma.
How can service to the Absolute be executed? Yamena Niyamena Cha. The practice of yoga or linking with the Supreme is based on the principles of regulation and control. Regulation cannot be executed without control, therefore, one must be thoughtful and purify himself. If one wants to pass an examination, he has to go to school, follow the principles of the school, and take some pains in his study, and thus gradually he becomes to be successful. If he play all day on the street, how can he expect success? Therefore, in the process being explained by Shukdev Goswami, the first necessity is tapasya, austerity. If tapasya and brahmacharya are painful because we want to be unrestricted, as soon as we are regulated, what appear to be painful is in practice not painful. There are two classes of men: those who are sober, dheer, and those who are extravagant, adhir. When in spite of provocation or in spite of a presence of source of mental agitation, and remains steady in his position is called a dhira. An example of Dhira is given by Kalidas Pandit, a great Sanskrit poet who wrote a book called Kumara Sambhav, wherein he has given an example concerning Lord Shiva. It appears that when the demigods were fighting the demons and were being defeated, they decided that they could be saved by a commander in chief born from semen of Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, however, was in meditation, and to acquire the needed semen was very difficult. They therefore sent Parvati, a young girl, to appear before Shiva and worshipped his genitals. Although this young girl sat before Lord Shiva, touched his genitals, Lord Shiva was steady in mind meditation. Kalidas says here an example of Veera, for despite a young girl's touching his genitals, he was undisturbed.
Similarly, someone sent a young prostitute to disturb Haridas Thakur, and upon hearing her appeals for intercourse, Haridas Thakur said, "Yes, your proposal is very nice. Please sit down and let me finish my chanting, and then we shall enjoy." Morning came, and the prostitute became impatient, but Haridas Thakur replied, "I am very sorry. I could not finish my chanting. Come tonight again." The prostitute came for 3 nights, and on the third night she fell down at the feet, confessed her intentions, and pleaded with him, "I was induced to perform this act by a man who is your enemy. Kindly excuse me." Haridas Thakur then replied, "I know all about that, but I allowed you to come here for 3 days so that you could be converted and become a devotee. Now take these chanting beads and go on chanting. I am leaving this place." Here is another example of a dheer who has control of his body, words, and intelligence. One's body, words, and intelligence should be controlled by one who is dheer and who actually knows the principles of religion. We have been continuously committing sinful activities since time immemorial, and we do not know when this began, but this life is meant for rectification of all the mistakes that we have committed. If one sets fire to unwanted grass and creepers in a field, they will all be burnt. Similarly, by the process of austerity and penance, one can liquidate all sinful activities and become purified. But Chukadev Goswami suggest an alternate process. केचित् केवलया भक्त्या वासुदेव प्रयायणाः अगहं अगहं धुन्वन्ति कात्स्येन निराहारं त्वभक्षकरः भास्करः. Generally, if one leads an austere and pious life of celibacy, equanimity, charity, etc., people will say that he is very pious man. But simply by becoming Krishna conscious, one can kill all the resultant actions of his past sinful life. A fog disappears as soon as the sun arises, and Krishna rises with the brilliance of thousands of suns.
The process is accepted by only by someone who is fortunate. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore said, Brahmananda ब्रह्मांड प्रमेय कौन भाग्यवान जीव Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata's beach. At the grace of Krishna and the spiritual master, a fortunate person after wandering throughout the universe in different species of life receives the seed of pure devotional service. Krishna consciousness is meant for the very fortunate, for simply by accepting this one process, a person can surpass all the duties of austerity, renunciation, celibacy, etc. Shukdev Goswami declares, Kechit Kevalya Bhaktya. One who is extremely fortunate take to the process of pure devotional service. Kevala Bhakti refers to pure and unalloyed devotional service in which there is no desire but to please Krishna. One should not render devotional service just to increase his income. We want money to become happy, but if we take to Krishna consciousness, automatically we will become so happy that we neglect money. Money will automatically come, happiness will come. There is no need to endeavor for these things separately. It was Dhruv Maharaj who lamented, "How foolish I was that I took devotional service with a desire for material profit." Ordinarily, for material profit, one goes to his boss or some rich man or demigod, but a devotee does not go anywhere but to Krishna, even if he has material desires. If one goes to Krishna, even for material advantages, the day will come when he forgets material desires, just like Dhruv Maharaj. He was repentant and said, "I came to Krishna and asked for something material," just like one who has pleased a very rich man and asked him for a few grains of rice. A rich man agrees to give whatever he wants, but if we ask him only few grains of rice, is that very intelligent? Asking Krishna for material benefit is exactly like this. One need not ask Krishna extraneously for material happiness. For material happiness will automatically come, roll before his very feet, pleading, "Please take me, please take me." I'll read this last para.
Hmm. Those who are practicing, Tihar, एक minute. Those who are practicing Krishna consciousness are not in need of material opulence, wives, children's happiness, home, for all is acquired automatically by the grace of Krishna. There is no need to ask for Krishna for these material things, but one should simply request him, "Please engage me in your service." Bhagavad Gita, Krishna also promises that if one engages in his service, he will supply what is needed and preserve whatever is already possessed. For one of his final instructions in Arjuna indicates total dependence on him. Chetasya sarvakarmani, mayi sanyasya matparaha, buddhi yogam upashritya, machitah Satatam Bhava in all activities and for all results. Just depend upon me and work always under my protection. In such devotional service, be fully conscious of me. Hare Krishna. I have to join.